Welcome to the Draft Board Hockey Show, where we talk exclusively about NHL draft content. My name is Mark, and my boy Linc. How's it going, buddy?
What's going on? We are officially back. This is the first regular podcast video. However, we'll be consuming your media on this fine day. Since the summer break, I mean, we had Scott on, which was a great episode. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It should be out on both podcast and video form right now. We're here and we're back and we're talking, and we have our top 10 of the 2026 draft to talk about today. It's already that time. We're back again. We're talking about prospects. I'm so gosh darn excited. I got to tell you.
Yeah. And, the other thing that some big news, Linc has joined us on McKeen's Hockey. I'm a writer for McKeen's Hockey. Linc is now officially a writer for McKeen's Hockey. We are both covering U.S. prospects. So welcome aboard. Congratulations on that, my friend.
Thank you. I want a special thanks to Brock Otten, but especially to you, Mark, because you softened me up in his eyes so much. So I appreciate it. So I think they're tolerating me now. It's great. So I can't wait to see for all the stuff that will come out for it. We're really excited for it. So this is gonna be great.
Absolutely. And so this is episode 2 of the 2026 NHL draft class. And like Linc said, we are doing the top 10 rankings for both of us. We're going to go back and forth, discuss who our top 10 are and some honorable mentions and why we have them in those positions. So we're looking forward to that. And as always, Linc, I will let you have the honors of showing your first top 10 here. And who do you got number 1 there, mister?
Number 1 is a fellow by the name of Gavin McKenna. We've been talking about Mr. McKenna for quite some time now. It really kind of feels like that he's been one of those prospects that earns exceptional status, except he has not. Last season, you would be completely fooled by it because look at that stat line right there: 56 games, 41 goals, 129 points. This is a special talent that we are watching right now. And he's going over to the NCAA, to my home state of Pennsylvania, to play for the Penn State Nittany Lions. I couldn't be happier. Obviously, it's going to be a different environment for him. Medicine Hat, he had a perfect scenario with him, I would say, last year. The amount of line mates that he has, the amount of creative players that he was playing with, they really have built something special over there in Medicine Hat. However, now he's in the NCAA. He's got new teammates, new stuff. So obviously, this guy is just chocked to the brim with just talent. The stick handling, but most importantly, his passing vision is out of this world. He creates so many lanes and chances for his teammates that you would never even believe it. It's just truly just a spectacle to watch. Gavin McKenna is just far and away, in my opinion, the number 1 player in this draft class. That will not change, unlike last year. That's a Linc guarantee. We can maybe have a blooper reel at the end of the year of all the Linc guarantees that don't come true. This one will. So.
Yeah, it's hard pressed that he's going to lose that top spot this year. I mean, the kid is just super dynamic. Like you said, the points, the poise, the vision, the stick handling, even the shooting is decent too. You know what I mean? So for a kid,
41 goals, that's pretty decent.
You know what? Not too bad, for your D-1 season. And yeah, the thing with Gavin McKenna going to Penn State, this is going to be a good test for him because he pretty much, did all he could do in the CHL, WHL specifically. And I think that, moving on to the NCAA, and if he can pull off a season like, say, Celebrini or whatnot, then that'll definitely guarantee him the first overall pick. And, lucky for us, I'm fortunate to have 2 games probably lined up, but the tickets right now are going for a crazy amount. He's showing up at University of Michigan. And for those of you who are watching this clip right now, like, this is the sickest goal I've ever seen in my life. It is honestly, look at this back.
Oh my God.
And I don't know if you saw the backhand toe drag. That's unreal, man.
It's just
sicko mode.
The only comparable way that I can describe it, and I know how some viewers of this channel don't like me using non-hockey ways to describe things. He looks like a running back juking out like an opposing player right there. That was just, it's sick to have that level of control skating wise and puck wise. It's ridiculous. That's going to the NCAA specifically, but then the Big Ten, has been big, rough, tough, physical every single year. You see it with Michigan. You see it with Michigan State. You see it with Wisconsin year in and year out. Now Penn State is trying to be that team, and they're building quite a team for him with obviously Jackson is going to be there, Luke Misa, who's going to be there as well, Lev Katzen, who's, I guess, gets represented, but now Gavin McKenna. He has a lot of people to work with, but he also has a lot to prove. I mean, going back to that Macklin Celebrini example, it almost seems like there's a even bigger monkey on McKenna's back because he's on a less proven team. It seems like he might need to do more than Celebrini did in this draft year. But again, comparing apples to oranges is going to be tough because, again, McKenna is a winger and Celebrini is notably a center. So we will see. I'm just down to enjoy McKenna light it up for my personal favorite NCAA hockey team.
You're lucky. You're close by.
I'm very lucky. So this is
a lot of fun for you. All right. So now my second overall pick is Keaton Vierhoff. Speaking of NCAA prospects, and he's going to be hitting North Dakota. And he put up some decent numbers last year as a defenseman in the WHL, playing for Victoria, 45 points in 63 games. Now, the thing is that he is 6'4", 212-pound right shot defenseman. And for those of you who listen to our show, the NHL, they love their right shot D, especially big mobile right shot D. And Keaton Vierhoff fits the bill. And he is a really good skater. He's got a little edge to his game. I mean, he didn't do so well at the Linc of Gretzky, and I think that, a lot of pundits kind of dropped him a little bit there because of that. I don't, I never rest my laurels on one tournament, how they do at one tournament, basically. So, I know that you don't have Keaton Vierhoff. You have Keaton Vierhoff at number 3. So, what do you think? I mean, is it close between him and your second overall, here,
we can start to talk about it if you'd like. I can start talking about Ivar Stenberg
because I got Ivar Stenberg at 3, so we're flip flop on 2 and 3.
Naturally, the number 2 and 3 will come in this early stage of the draft. At this point, will come between Keaton Vierhoff and Ivar Stenberg, and I think both are brilliant prospects, and they're going to probably stay in this range for a long time. Ivar Stenberg, I mean, needs no introduction. Look at that stat line he put up in the J20. And he's also the younger brother of one Otto Stenberg, who was drafted by the St. Louis Blues a few years ago. But again, personal experience aside, I saw Ivar Stenberg. He is brilliant. I saw him play up with men in the SHL. Fantastic game. Didn't get a jersey of him, but I got my own jersey from Frölunda just to prove everyone that I went. But the margins are razor thin. It's very, very tight. I have done my individual scouting report on Keaton Vierhoff. I have highlighted some issues that I've seen in his game from the WHL that carried over into the Linc of Gretzky. Are they going to carry over to the NCAA? Who knows? But it is a bigger conference, so we will see. Personally, I look at Ivar Stenberg as somebody who has the speed and dynamics to challenge for that second overall spot. And I think he has it for me right at this point. But the margin's still razor thin. Inarguably, Keaton Vierhoff has the most intriguing tool set of any draft-eligible defenseman since maybe Owen Power. It's kind of ridiculous looking at what he has to offer. And I think something you didn't even mention yet is how young he is. I think he just turned 17 in August, right? Unless it was July or something like that. He's very young. He benefits from a lot of runway. He is going to be a top 3 pick. All right. I'm not saying Keaton Vierhoff is going to fall out of the top 3, fall out of the top 5. That's not the type of prospect he is. The amount of potential that he has is fantastic. He's just a little slow, a little bit lackadaisical in some rush choices. And I think some of his offense is going to start out slow when he goes to the NCAA, but we will see. That's why I have the disparity there a little bit for right now.
So Keaton Vierhoff, he's a June baby. Now the thing is that Ivar Stenberg, he's in October 2007. So there's about a year difference between those two. So I think that, it's going to, and this is early. We're talking real early preseason basically rankings. So these are going to change a lot. If you look at last year's rankings or preseason rankings, changed a lot. But I think that, depending on what Keaton Vierhoff does at the NCAA route. Now that, there's that question as to, would that affect his draft stock, especially because he could have played it safe, stayed in Victoria, had a really good season, put over a point a game as a defenseman in the WHL. and that would pretty much solidify him as a top, 5, top 3 pick, maybe second overall.
Top,
goes to
top
NCAA.
2. I would have locked him to the top 2, I think, personally, for me.
He goes to NCAA, and like say he just has an average season, right? Because you're talking now, this is a faster, obviously more skilled, bigger, older league. But if he comes out and has a great season at the NCAA level, and he can show that he can, improve his speed and some of the decision making that you mentioned, that he kind of and Hlinka Gretzky was an example of that. He tried to do a little too much, simplify his game.
Yeah.
But I think that the NCAA level is going to help him with the skating. You mentioned that before, Linc, that getting the gym on the ice, focusing on that kind of stuff. I think that's going to help him. So I think it's one of those things that we're going to, in a couple months, December, our midterm rankings, we'll talk about, how both of these players are doing. But Ivor Stenberg, stepped into Frölunda in the playoffs, had 6 points in 12 games, looked really well. He's, like you said, dynamic for sure. Good pace to his game. Yeah, I think that this is going to be, I mean, unless someone comes out of left field and knocks them both off contention for second overall. But right now it's a 2-horse race for second overall.
Yeah. I echo it, literally everything you said. Of course, there's always potential with Keaton Verhoff, and honestly, I do hope so. And thank God that he is coming to Potsdam, New York, so I can get a clear, easy viewing of him this season. So I'm very lucky that he's going to be very close to where I go to school. So that'll be very fun to see. And I'm rooting for the cat. I really think that North Dakota, now that I look at it, is probably one of the best places he could have gone, looking at their track record of how they've developed not only defensemen, but some people that have had issues with skating. I specifically point to Sasha Boisvert last year, who was a very blocky foot type of had issues with skating in his draft year. Look at what he did last year, because he really lit up the NCHC, and now he's playing in Boston University with Cole Eiserman. They, in my opinion, are favorites to win the entire NCAA right now. So it's tough between them and Boston. And I honestly, I go back and forth.
Michigan State, don't discount.
Michigan State and Boston U. It's those two. It's so tough to pick between the two of them. So we will see.
Mentioning McKenna. So McKenna comes to Michigan State and University of Michigan, which is close to me. And then I got Keaton Verhoff and North Dakota coming to Western Michigan. So I'm catching all of those games. All right. Now, Linc, at number 4, you got Ryan Rubruk. Guess what? I got Ryan Rubruk at number 4. Talk to me about Ryan Rubruk there. What do you think of his game? Now, this is a player that I have the opportunity to watch in Niagara. And so, well, first, let me tell you, he had 87 points in 64 games playing in the OHL for Niagara. 6'4", 190-pound center. Plays a wing too. So, I mean, yeah, what do you think of Mr. Rubruk?
He's just really something special. And I think if he wasn't such an early birthday, I would be considering him way higher, because he's an October birthday, correct? Right? He just does so many things on the ice. Offensively, he's almost impossible to stop. This is the same thing this is kind of the same way we were talking about Porter Martone a year prior, when we ranked him second overall pretty much consensusly as amateur scouts. But this time, I feel more confident about Ryan Rubruk as a scorer and as a playmaker at this current moment. Porter Martone, he really graduated last year. We saw a really great player, but Rubruk, the way that he's able to move his shot, I will put it in early contention as the best shot in this entire draft class. He really has something special there. And being that big, being able to play center, being able to skate like that, take that much ice up. Also, his really kind of underrated two-way game. You're really looking at somebody who has a lot of opportunity to rise this year. His ceiling is definitely second overall. Not even a question about that. He could have that insanely tight year that puts him as a no doubt number 2 guy over Verhoff and Stenberg, which will be a little bit of a challenge. But looking at just the tools, there's a lot for him to work with. However, there are some details in his game that are missing. He's going to be playing in the OHL. He's a guy that I absolutely would have loved to have seen in the NCAA this past season, for this next season, but we're not going to get all of our wishes here. So, yeah, but that, again, what's not to love with Ryan Rubruk at number 4?
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, right now, the front runner for the best shot in this draft class for sure. Now, he's going to have to come out and put over 100 points to be relevant in top 5 contention, right? Yeah. I mean, that's, again, these are some of the things that, when these older players, the 2007s, they have to decide, are they going to go the NCAA route and, potentially take a chance of not showing well and then dropping in the draft? Or do they stay in the CHL or whatever junior league that they're playing in and basically dominate and then, kind of boost their draft ranking? But, at the same time, if they go to the NCAA and do really well, obviously that helps out as well. So it's one of those things, but we both got Ryan Rubruk at number 4. Okay, number 5. So you know what? We'll go over to me. Now, number 5, I got Tynan Lawrence, the Muskegon MVP in the playoffs. Now, he's a really young birth date as well. He is an August birth date, so one of the youngest prospects in this draft. He had 54 points in 56 games last year playing for Muskegon in the USHL, a 6 foot, 170-pound centerman. So, again, the NHL, in terms of draft, big right shot D and centerman. Obviously, when you have, players like Ivor Stenberg and Gavin McKenna on the wing, it kind of goes out the door. But, the thing with Tynan Lawrence, like I said, he showed up for the playoffs in Muskegon, and teams like that. They like to see kids with good compete. He's a really good skater, got a really good shot. I like his compete level. I think that, being one of the youngest players in this draft this year, and he's going back to Muskegon, and if he can dominate the USHL, puts up those incredible numbers and takes Muskegon, to the finals, to the Clark Cup, I think that might be something that will help his draft stock. But I like the potential there, and because of his youth.
Yeah, absolutely. What's not to love with Tynan Lawrence as well? He's one of my favorite prospects in this entire draft year as well. There's a lot to say about him going back to Muskegon, but one thing that you can for sure guarantee on is that he's going to get a lot of offense going. I will pretty much have him down as guaranteed getting to 70 points at least for him with that loaded Muskegon roster. He is all offense. He is always crashing the net. He is always a very smart player, especially with the pass, really deceptive stick handling, and a pretty decent shot to boot. There's really not a lot that you can say more about him. He's just really just that complete of an offensive dynamic player. And it's really nice to see someone from the USHL who looks like it's going to be a top prospect. It feels like it's been like a year, since we've had like the great, Michael Hages and our Sasha Boisberts. We've been removed for that for a year about now. So.
Yeah, you know what? I'm anxious to see him this year in Muskegon. So there's another player I get to see when he comes play against the NTDP. All right, so now at number 5, you have Viggo Bjork. Yes, Viggo Bjork, the sensational. Like, this kid has been lights out in Sweden, and last year, 74 points in 42 games. Now, the only issue, he's 5'9". He's a 5'9", 170-pound, can play the wing or center. Are there concerns there for you for the height? Because obviously that plays a big role.
Absolutely. And I will say, like, him, Ethan Belchetz, who is notably almost a foot taller than this guy, he could eat Viggo Bjork if he wanted to, and Tynan Lawrence are in like their same tier for me right now at the preseason stage. It's very close. So I'm still like even making decisions about it. But Viggo Bjork has made the case of cases for himself based on his season last year. He's another player that I saw in person when I was over there in Sweden at your gardens. This kid is really special. Everything that I mentioned with Tynan Lawrence about being an offensively dynamic player, it echoes in his magnitude by Viggo Bjork here. Just absolutely just class at his stick handling, his ability to get around opponents, to get around that small size that he has been dealt with. He has just been able to make things work for himself so far, and I think the biggest test is yet to come. The SHL is a huge opportunity for him this year. Obviously, the two big Swedish prospects will have to prove a lot in the SHL this year because it's the step up, and this is one of the strongest SHLs that we've seen in a long, long time. So obviously, we will see. He will have some help from potentially some of his line mates being Anton Frondell and Victor Eklund, which
that's rumors. That's
crazy.
Rumor.
That's crazy. That's insane.
The kid line, man. That'd be fun.
I'm ready for that. I'm going to pirate some Swedish TV tonight if that's true. Viggo Bjork is just really a sensational dynamic talent. It's hard for me to ignore him in this early stage. Of course, we're going to have to be more critical once the fall rolls around. He's playing more SHL games, but I think he's lauded at least a top 5 spot for me based on the season he's had last year.
Yeah, so he's a little bit lower on my list. He's an honorable mention just because of the size. I mean, in terms of skill set, though, he's very dynamic, like you said. And last year he had like almost 100 points in 50 games in the J18, which is D-2, and then D-1 last year, like we saw the numbers. So yeah, I think and this year playing on the line with Frondell and Eklund, and if these kids can create some magic together, and he has a decent season in the SHL. Yeah, he might be climbing up my rankings, but just right now, I got him a little bit lower than that. Now, my number 6 player is Ryan Linc. So we talked about Tynan Lawrence. That's why I have at number 5. And so we hop over to number 6. I got Ryan Linc, defenseman from the Vancouver Giants. And last year, he had 53 points in 60 games. Now, the only issue is he's 5'11", but he is a right shot D. And the thing with him is, his skating, how smooth he is. And he's very responsible defensively. That's the one thing. He is a great two-way D. And so, typically when you got like an offensive defenseman, they kind of lack the defense component of the game. But Ryan Linc is very mature defensively already. And so if he can, gain a little bit of height and put up, over a point a game as a defenseman in the dub again, then I think that, there's potential that he could move up the rankings even more.
This is a very special prospect. I really like talking about Ryan Linc. He's my number 2 defenseman right now. This is a very intriguing defensive prospect class because there's a lot of really good talents here. But Ryan Linc for right now leads them as the number 2 right there. And it really just starts and ends with his skating. Look at how dynamic he is around the blue line again. And he also added some really needed offensive value. He's an underrated shot. He's a really great distributor, but it all starts from how great of a skater he is. And that's not really going to change throughout the entire year. We're going to be talking about Ryan Linc skating for a very, very long time and how well it's going to do him in the WHL. So again, that's going to be the start and end of his case. He may even grow an inch or two, but he's very much within the top 10 discussion because of how well he does with his skating in neutral ice, in the offensive zone, in the defensive zone. Look at some of his ability to do retrievals, to transition. It's unbeatable at this stage. He really, really looks like a fantastic defenseman right now, despite his size. So it's really hard to put him anywhere else besides like the top 10.
So number 6 for yourself, you got Ethan Belchez, and I actually have him at number 7. So we can talk about Ethan Belchez. And yes, last year, the points didn't pop off the sheet, as you would say. He had 38 points in 56 games, but he's a 6'5", 227-pound left winger. Yeah, Ethan Belchez, that's how you pronounce it. I actually asked his billet. His billet family are good friends with mine. So I said, listen, how do you pronounce? Because I've heard some different pronunciation. So it's Ethan Belchez, and his nickname is The Cheese. So there you go.
There you go. A little bit of Fromaggi in the Windsor Spitfires this year. I'm gonna love it. But Ethan Belchez, when he was drafted first overall in the OHL draft, I think it was 2024 OHL draft.
2024.
This kid is a monster. As a 15-year-old, he was wrecking people. You can immediately pick out how big he is on the ice and the amazing amount of hands that he has to go along with his game. We are seeing another dynamically gifted forward at that height. And for the first time, we're seeing him at this weight. We talked about Roger McQueen a lot last year about how special he was, about being big and also offensively gifted. But then look at Ethan Belchez, who has 40 pounds on Mr. Roger McQueen almost. It's insane. He really is a big kid. He's only going to get bigger. And every single time that he mixes it up, scouts are going to move him up at least one spot. Size is something that every team is going to try to get a monopoly in through the draft. And this Belchez kid could really, really fly up the draft if he starts having a good year and starts mixing it up. I really, really like him. So we will see what happens. But again, the tool set, it's so hard to ignore with him.
Yeah, and you know what? I thought that he played really well at the Linc too. I think that kind of helped show that there is some progression, some development. And if he does have a really good season, again, over a point a game, in the OHL playing for Windsor, I think that could definitely boost his rankings pretty sooner than later, we'll say.
Yeah. The Linc looks like he could be a good launch pad for him. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Jack Nesbitt, same Windsor Spitfires. I mean, exactly. That kid, he jumped up the rankings. So if
Absolutely.
Belchez can do the same thing, we might be looking at Jack Nesbitt 2.0. All right. Now you have Tynan Lawrence at number 7 and Ryan Lynn at number 8. We've already discussed them. So my next player is Mathis Preston at number 8. And I know he's an honorable mention for you there, Linc, but he had 45 points in 54 games. He's a 5'11", 170-pound forward, can play center or the wing. Now the thing, with Mathis Preston, he is a July baby. He's one of the younger players. I just like his compete and his pace. And that's one of the things. Now, again, the points didn't jump off the sheet. However, I think that this year might be a different story for Mathis Preston.
Yeah. He's someone that I've liked for a really long time. I think he's at the number 1 or number 2 spot for me for most fun to watch in this draft. Just the speed, just the electricity that emanates from his game. He will play fast. He'll punch you in the mouth a little bit. And he was some added life for that Spokane team, which, again, had a lot of life in that first line, but he got it from the second line down. He was a very, very creative player, very fast player. The reason why he's in one of my honorable mentions, I'm concerned about a little bit of his details and stuff like that. I felt that he was more raw of a game last year, but again, he is in and around the top 10 for me. As an honorable mention, I can tell you he's 12th, so he is not far from the top 10 at all.
Okay, now the next one on your list, Linc, you always like to put some interesting players, and you got Elton Hermanson at number 9.
So I always get flack for some of my more interesting picks here, but I think Elton Hermanson is a fantastic player to stick around this area. He's someone that I think is going to rise really high up this year. And guys, wouldn't you know it? Guess where he's playing next year? He's playing at Modo, the same place where Milton Gastreen played. But no, I think the Hlinka Gretzky really talks for itself. He was really he popped off for Sweden. And again, one tournament does not determine your success, but in my opinion, I think that he really outshined Marcus Nordbark at some points, despite not scoring as many points. He is what I thought was one of the smartest forwards in this entire draft. Looking at some of his tape over there in Orebro, where he played last year, he was making some really, really impressive plays, and on a line with Nicholas Aram Olsen, who was the sniper at the end of his playmaking line. Hermanson really makes a lot of great decisions offensively. I think he's brilliant with the puck. He becomes a great puck carrier, and he's really responsible defensively. I'm intrigued to see what he does, because I think Modo is in the Allsvenskan now, so he will probably be up in the first. He will be up in the first team for the entirety of the year. I think he has as good a chance as any to really steal the spotlight and be that big third Swede that enters that discussion, because they have a strong class this year. But yeah, I've been a big fan of Hermanson for a long time. I think he's done enough for me where I can put him in the top 10 to start the season. But yeah, he looks good for me.
Yeah, and you know what? He had almost a point a game last year in the J20, and at the Hlinka, he had 11 points in 5 games for Team Sweden. So yeah, you know what? I think that, again, it's all about, what he can do in his draft year. And that's an important thing. And he's a big kid. He's like 6'2", I think. So I think that early, again, like I said, I don't have him in my top 10, but I will tell you that I have a little bit of a dark horse here, Xavier Villeneuve. Now, and the reason why I got Xavier Villeneuve is because the talent that this kid has, you cannot teach the dynamic nature of his game and what he does when he has the puck on his stick. And last year, he had 62 points in 61 games, playing for Blainville-Boisbriand, the Armada in the Q. And now the thing with him is that he's a little bit older too, though, so that might hurt his draft. And he's also listed at 5'10" and 150 pounds. Now, if he can fill out. Now, he's also grown a little bit. They already said that he showed up to camp this year and he's 5'11", and I think his dad is like 6'2", 6'1", or something like that. So if he can, get in around 6'1", that would definitely help his stock, to say the least. But yeah, he's a September 2007. So again, I take that in consideration. Now, what's your take on Xavier Villeneuve? I know he's not even in your honorable mentions. So
I only included 3 honorable mentions. He's not far out from that. He's my top 15, so I'll give you that. But Xavier Villeneuve, again, fun. He is so fun. We talk about this bend and this this ability for defensemen to creep up into the zone. He does not just creep up into the zone. He is just a ninja creeping up into the zone. He attacks so well. His stick handling is just so amazing. We talk about Lane Hudson and how well he did this year. This is somebody that you kind of have to take notes on, because this could be another version, maybe a Lane Hudson light that we're looking at with Xavier Villeneuve. So don't diss him at all. Don't bring him too much off. I think he's someone that he has to stay, in my opinion, in and around the top 20, unless he completely falls off. He really is somebody that he's so talented. He is so gifted with the puck on his stick and with a passing game and with some of his shots, where I am someone who I'm going to break some of my own rules to put him up where he needs to be, because he is that talented. So we will see with NHL viability what he does for the rest of the year, but I think he's a really good dark horse to keep around the top 10 at this point.
All right. And then finishing off our top 10, well, we both went with Daxton Rudolph, who is a big kid listed at 6'1", 194 pounds, right shot D. And look at that, 41 points in 64 games. And he's one of the younger prospects in this draft class. So, yeah, you know what? There's another player. The Dub is loaded with, well, they would have been loaded if they would have kept Keaton Vierhoff. But, yeah, they are loaded with defensemen, right shot D, big right shot D. And what do you like about Daxton Rudolph's game there, Linc?
I think he's somebody that could really explode offensively, despite what he's shown to this point. I know he only got 40 points last year, which was his draft year minus one season. Oh my God, how terrible! He only got 40. No, as a defenseman, no less. I think he's someone who could really explode this year, for points wise. I mean, you've got Prince Albert. They're making a comeback this year. They have a pretty solid team that should be able to compete somewhat in the WHL. It won't be the top team, but Daxton Rudolph is going to be the leader of that team. He is going to be a very special defensive component to that team. And that right shot always helps. The size always helps. The way that he can move the puck with both his skating and his stick really helps as well. He's going to get a lot of assists, this guy. He will. And it doesn't really matter the offensive capabilities of his teammates. He will be able to get some points going. I think you're going to see a lot of people really, really latch on to Daxton Rudolph. Me personally, at this point, he's neck and neck with the guy who I have as my number 11. I like Carson Carrolls a lot. But I just edged out Daxton Rudolph because I think he could really explode, where Carson Carrolls is going to look like that more prototypical NHL-ready defenseman, like Scott Wheeler said just 1 week ago. But Daxton Rudolph, I really, really like him. I really do. And I would be not shocked if he ended up being the second defenseman taken in this draft.
I mean, you know what? And you mentioned Carson Carrolls too. The front runners for the defensive or first defense to be taken, or second, third, whatever. There is, you know, this is going to be an interesting, because there's that grouping right after Keaton Vierhoff. And I mean, depending on how these kids do in the WHL, we could be talking about potentially like higher picks. But anyways, I want to mention that today's episode is sponsored by Fantrax. Yes, they are the home of fantasy sports. And if you go to fantrax.com/NHL Draft Pros, and that helps us, the show, the more people sign up, the better it is for us. And now, as always, our new segment that Linc is going to take care of, Name That Prospect. We are going to put out a couple of hints in a question form. And then, you know, moving forward, like I said, if we can get some prizes, I'm looking to get some prizes that we can, some giveaways. We can, you know, put a group of people that got it right into a hat, and then, you know, pick that person right on the show. So go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So let's get right into it. I will mention, I guess I have not really advocated for the player a ton on my social media. So when I say that this player is one of my favorite players that I've watched, people will be like, huh, all right, Linc. All right. Sounds good. So this player is another 2022 NHL draftee taken in the first round. The only hint for where I will tell you that he was taken later in the first round. And the notable thing about this prospect is that he's the only prospect by my memory, especially from the 2022 NHL draft class, that has played in the Liga, the AHL, the WHL, and now the NHL. So if you think you know that prospect that has played in all four of those leagues, was taken late in the first round of the 2022 NHL draft class, let us know. put it down in the comments. We will see if you're right. If you're right, you might just get yourself a shout out, and later down the line, you might get a prize even to boot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition of Who's That Prospect, because I certainly did. He's one of my favorite players. So we'll keep it under wraps though. So
okay. Listen, we're gonna, I'll put it in the description to if you want to read who that prospect is. And you know what? I guess that concludes this episode with Linc dropping Name That Prospect. So next week we're going to be back, and actually got a special guest, the prospect Don. Yeah, we're going to talk. We don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but this episode, top 10 rankings, early. It's going to change a lot throughout the season, but that's it for this show. Linc,
it's always great to be on. This is a great podcast. I was so happy to talk about the top 10. All right, this is going to be a great year, guys. Put your favorite prospect in the chat. I promise the differentiation, we'll get it. We'll understand. I'm not going to accept Keaton Verhoff as your answer for who's that prospect. So let me know who you think is going to be your favorite prospect this year.
And please subscribe, leave a comment. All that stuff helps us on social media and on these channels and stuff like that. So we'll see you soon next week. Cheers.